can always see distinct and non-standard features in pronunciation, in intonation, in vocabulary overall, and the grammar. Some of these dialects are really like relics of ancient usages, but unfortunately most of them are completely discarded by current standard languages. So as far as the Northern Russian dialect, those are usually spoken along the river Volga, from north down to the south, and typically these dialects pronounce a sound O very clearly, which is called Okanye. And in the Southern Russian dialects, unstressed Y and followed by A is not pronounced as E as it's supposed to. It's pronounced as a A, and therefore it's pronounced as a Ya. It's a little bit complicated to explain right now, because you need to go a little bit deeper into the Russian language to properly explain it. And it's called yakanya, and it's used in some forms of the sentences, so we'll leave it there. So there are two dialects, major dialects. As far as some history behind Russian language, judging by historical records, by approximately 1000 AD, the predominant ethnic group of the most European Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus nowadays have been speaking relatively close kind of a dialect to Russian language, so that it takes place a long time ago. Then it has been adopted by Christianity, and firstly started in the times of Kievan Rus. It has been commercialized into a native commercial language back then in 988, but then the languages started to have differentiations in them after the breakup of the Kievan Rus, which took place in 1100s, and therefore our languages split into parts, two separate ones. So as far as for numberings, we're gonna zoom you in a little bit just to show you a little bit more up close. So I hope you can see them all. Okay, so I'm gonna learn how to say numbers from 1 to 10 today. So right now I have only 5, and I will include the other 5 later. Let's start with the first one. Let me just read it to you. 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4, 5 is 5, 6 is 6, 7 is 7, 8 is 8, 9 is 9, and 10 is 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's write it first in Russian. 1. I'm going to write this type of a D letter sound there because it's a little bit easier. Usually you would write it a little bit differently, but just for you to understand it better for now, I'll write it this way. And this is in Russian I'm writing right now. 1. I would like to explain to you right away what I'm going to be doing. Today I will try to teach you how to say these words and sentences easier in English without complicating them into transcriptions like I did in the last video. I will try to use a form of a translate instead of a transcription. and translate, you would write it this way. Один. Here's a trick. In this whole video, in the next one as well, you will hear me say один, pronouncing this sound as not an O, but as an A. That is due to this portion of the word to be stressed. So this is the letter that is stressed in the word. Therefore, this letter, unstressed, becomes the sound A. So, один. This one is 2, 2. In Russian, we would write it this way. 2. In translate, you would write it as this. 2. 3 is very close to American pronunciation or any other languages as well, and that would be 3. This is the Russian version. 3. And translate, you would write it as this. 3. Very simple. 1, 2, 3. 4 would be 4. It's a little bit more complicated number. Oh, let me write it first in English, in Russian. Okay. 4. In translate, you will write it as such. 4. 3. 4. Let's pronounce it again. 4. Okay. And number 5 will be 5. Which is in translate written the following way. Yes. Now here's a trick. Do you see how I wrote down pet? You could try and pronounce it as a pet, probably with the sharp T in the end, but because in this case we're using a soft sign, which in Russian language softens the letter standing in front of it. Therefore, it creates a softer version of a t sound t in this word. So it will be not yat, but vet. So I would write an extra sound here. You will not usually write it down, but when you pronounce it, you would try and